Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave McRae. It is Wednesday, November the 27th, 2019. Happy Thanksgiving to my American friends south of the border. Of course, Thanksgiving is not until tomorrow, but nonetheless, happy Thanksgiving. It is a big travel day for many of you peeps below the border, and of course, Black Friday is on Friday. That is a very American thing, Black Friday. But over the last, I want to say, 7 to 10 years or so, it's made its way to other parts of the world as well, including here, although it's not nearly as crazy here as it is in the States. I mean, people literally die. Like, I watch YouTube videos online. It'll be like some Target in Louisiana or some Walmart in Kentucky or California. It doesn't matter where. These crowds outside, and then you'd hear the people at the store. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, we're ready. Okay, and here you go. And everyone's like, and I'm watching this, and I'm saying, and I don't know if it's my sort of polite Canadianism or whatever, but I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, there isn't anything on the face of the planet. There is nothing on the face of the planet that I have wanted bad enough that I would, number one, wait in line all night or even maybe for 2 days and risk my life being trampled on to get a television on sale. I don't care. It is unbelievable. These people are just running and screaming and trampling, and people have died. I mean, you guys know this south of the border. People have died. Black Friday here in Canada, we have some lineups as people, but it's nothing like that. I believe you can even YouTube that. Black Friday, Canada, and all right, the door is open. Everybody's just kind of walking in going, hey, what's going on? What's going on? It's such a stereotype, but it's funny. But I just don't understand. I was having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day. We were watching something. And maybe it was a thumbnail I came across on YouTube or something. And I said to her, I know what it was. We watched the first episode of Jeff Goldblum's new show on Disney+. Yes. And of course, if you've seen that episode, he goes to like a sneaker con. And there were people lined up outside, right, for like days to get into sneaker con shoes. And I turned to her and I'm like, I like pop culture just as much as the next person, right? I like movies and Halloween. I work in the industry. I'm a big fan, like we all are. But I can't, and in some ways I envy some of these people because I would love to be able to love something so much that I would literally wait in line for days to go and see it, or to go to a concert, or to go to a con, or whatever it is. And I've never in my life wanted to see somebody get something, be a part of something that bad, where I am literally like sleeping in a tent on the side of the road in a sidewalk. I can intellectualize it, I understand it, and I can live vicariously through it, but I've never been able to, I can't think of anything in my, like, Harrison Ford is my favorite actor of all time, right? He's getting up there in age now, not going to be around too much longer, but I wouldn't wait days in line I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a fun person. I have no idea. But I would never do that. So anyway, Thanksgiving south of the border, Black Friday, and of course Cyber Monday on Monday. So pretty crazy stuff. Who do we got in the chat room? We got Frank the Tank. Frank, great to see you. Jason Nike is here. Jacqueline McEwen. Chris the Badass Ninja is here. Great to see you guys. Chris says, it's funny how that the day after Thanksgiving, where we're giving thanks, is Black Friday. It's very ironic. Yes, 100% the Badass Ninja. It is extremely ironic. Frank says, what's the worst line for something you've been in? Great question. The worst line. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, and this is nothing exciting at all, but probably at like an amusement park. Like probably when I was a kid, you know, we'd go to Disney World or to Universal Studios or something, and there'd be like a 2-hour line for like the Jaws ride or something. It's true. I think you mean maybe as an adult. Well, I mean, as an adult, I've never gone to, like, if there's a pop-up store that's popping up 9.9999 times out of 10, it's for shit that I don't give a shit about. You know, I don't care about the Michael Jordan shoes and I'm just not, you know, I'm a 40-year-old man, right? Like I don't care about that kind of stuff. So, you know, and when the new smartphones come out, I mean, I'm just like, I'll just wait. Like, I'll just wait a month and I'll get it cheaper and I can just walk into the store, you know? And, I don't know. As an adult, Frank, I don't think this sounds hilarious, but it's true. I think the longest line is probably at the grocery store. You know, I mean, I'm not one of those people, or maybe at the movies or something like, you know, but now you can buy your tickets online. So you're not even waiting in line at the box office anymore, you know? So I don't know, man. It's just crazy stuff. And I mean this in all sincerity. I wish, because it looks so exciting. Like it seemed like, even when, like, you know, you see all the, like, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I've grown to know that even I am not a Star Wars, like, not like those, you know, hardcore fucking, you know, dressing, like, there's degrees, right? There's Star Wars fans like me, and maybe like you, and then there's the guys and gals that go full out, like, they dress up, they pop up their tents, I'm just like, I would never do that. I don't care enough to do that, but I think it's amazing that some people do, because I wish there was something I could love that much and get that excited about. I just don't think there is. The Badass Ninja says, what are your thoughts on the YouTube COPPA thing? Oh, is that the children thing with, you know, it's not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't really affect, if that's what you're referring to, it doesn't really affect me because my content's not for kids anyway. I think it's going to affect it's a very easy decision for me to make, right? Like, my content is not for kids. It's not that it's not for kids. I mean, no, I drop a lot of F-bombs, right? But depending on the video, it might be okay for a kid, right? Maybe I don't swear in that particular one, right? But 99% of the time, what I'm talking about, not even just the language, but just the content, the subject matter is very intense. And I'm talking about, you know, symbolism and filmmaking, and, you know, I'm ranting and raving and that kind of stuff. So that wouldn't really necessarily appeal to someone who's like, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's a very easy decision for me to make. So every time I upload, I just go, is this available for kids? No, it's not. Like, it doesn't, you know, and it's really easy. For people who are making videos that are supposedly for kids or kid-friendly, I think they could run into some problems, because they might inadvertently upload something that isn't, or subject matter that isn't, and then they're going to get dinged, and there could be a fine. It's like, oh my God, but I didn't mean to, and however all that works, I think it's going to be more problematic for those who are trying to be kid-friendly. For me, not a big deal. And I think for most people, it's not a big deal. But anyway, yeah. Frank Reiger says, did Canada ever have a craze for a product like a Tickle Me Elmo? Well, you know, Frank, because our economies and our culture, you know, like, there is a difference between Canada and America, obviously. But in terms of culture, there's not. I mean, there is, like, in terms of our history. I mean, you guys fought for your freedom. I mean, we were essentially given our independence. Like, there's that kind of stuff where we have a monarchy, and, we have a parliamentary system. You have, there's differences like that. But when we get to the culture, like if you were to cross the border and drive into BC or drive into Toronto or whatever, it's not much of a culture shock. I mean, you got to remember it's kilometers instead of miles an hour, and gas is in liters and not gallons and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like you're like, wow, this is such a foreign country. We have all the Walmarts and the McDonald's and the big chain. We don't have as many, but we have a lot of what you have, we have. So it's not like landing in Europe or something, right? Where it's very different. You notice the architecture is so different. The culture is different. The stores you've never heard of by and large, right? Here, not really. I mean, there might be a few things that are Canadian here that you haven't heard of, but it's not really a big deal. So point is that when there's a big craze in the States, generally that craze is also here. Like it carries over. There really isn't anything that is a specific Canadian product that has had the same kind of thing. Like when the Tickle Me Elmo thing was going on, that was going on here too. Maybe not to the degree because we don't have as many people, but it was a craze there. It was, all the kids here wanted it too, right? A specific Canadian product, I don't recall. Because usually the big heavyweight pop culture type products like that are American anyway. So they're so it's kind of interesting. But when I go out on Black Friday, it's see, this is the thing. Here's Black Friday in Canada. When you go out, it's busy. It's very busy. It's like, oh my goodness, right? But it's not crazy. It's not like it's just like you're in a busy store or a busy mall. That's generally what it's like. I mean, now again, maybe there's somewhere in Toronto where things get a little crazy, you know what I mean? But generally it's not like those fucking YouTube videos. Oh my God, people stepping on people getting killed over like they're picking up their TVs and they're tossing it, and I'm like, and 9 times out of 10, I get the feeling that these people don't even need this. Like I see people loading up their carts on these YouTube videos with like 2 or 3 TVs. They don't need this stuff. It's psychological. It's, oh my God, it's on sale. So they're going to buy it and then sell them for the price that they actually are later on. That I could totally see too. Crazy stuff. Jason Knight says, hey Dave, have you started getting yourself into character for Freddy, or do you prepare closer to what? I haven't really. I know sort of the approach I'm going to take, but I haven't. I mean, we're still a ways away. I mean, we're probably not going to shoot until maybe March, April is probably when that's going to happen. So I still got some time. But I was talking about it with Vince and Cecil and Miko and we were sort of talking about it I mean, I think we all feel comfortable in the approach. It's just going to be a matter that when we get on set, fine, tweaking some things. But I haven't really thought about it. I'm a very sort of instinctual in the moment kind of person, so I'm not too worried about it. Frank Riker says, are you seeing Knives Out? I am. I'm supposed to be seeing it Sunday. So that'll be fun. Frank says, did you ever see a movie on Christmas Day? Yes, I saw The Force Awakens. Yes, I think my girlfriend and I went and saw The Force Awakens on Christmas. We saw it like a week prior when it first came out, but I really enjoyed it so much that on Christmas Day, I think we went and saw it again. That's the only movie I can think of that I saw on Christmas Day, but there might have been others in the past. Let's see here. Oh, okay. No, I think I've got that. Yes. Okay, cool. The Badass Ninja says, Dave, have you seen the article where Jamie Lee Curtis says if they know or yeah, yes. I have seen that article, and I was going to do a video on it. And then I was like, why am I doing a video on this? But maybe I'll still do a video on it. I mean, really, like, I totally get what she's saying. I agree with her in principle, in the sense of young kids maybe shouldn't watch, certain things. But I want to know, is she being serious? So what I mean is she being literal in the sense of that if somebody was to say, this is my son Bobby, and, you know, he watches Halloween and he's a big fan. And then she's quoted as saying, and I'm paraphrasing, but she says, like, and I give them the meanest JLC, you are the worst person in the look, you know, or the worst parent in the world ever kind of look. Well, is she really giving that parent that look? Or is this Jamie Lee Curtis's way of just verbally illustrating what she's thinking inside? Because it's entirely possible that she could be thinking those things, but she's not actually going, you fucking son. Like, you know, she's not literally giving the parent that look. Because if she is giving the parent that look, then as much as we all love Jamie Lee Curtis, it's wildly inappropriate. And what I mean by that is that, you know, the parent is there to buy your book or to pay for a photo with you or whatever the case is. And in many cases, they've traveled from afar to be there. You're more than entitled to think that. If you want to think that in your head, like, holy shit, you let your go ahead, but be professional, you know. Just, you know, you don't have to, if it bothers you, you don't have to engage in it. So when the parent says, you know, this is Bobby and he watches Halloween and he's a big fan. And in your mind, you're thinking, well, that's fucking stupid. Okay, fair enough. You're allowed to think that. But then don't engage in it. Just say something like, oh, well, that's really neat. And then move the conversation on, right? Or just say, oh, cool, or oh, I see. You know, if you don't want to say cool or neat because, you know, and then just, you know, change the subject. Like, you don't have to literally give them like this mean kind of stare down look, which is why I question whether she literally does that or if that's just her way of kind of saying, this is what I think. And she's just being a little satirical, a little not satirical, but facetious, sarcastic. I think she might be playing into it a bit more. But if she's not, and she's dead serious, then I think it's wildly unprofessional and inappropriate. And, you know, you are there to serve a purpose and you're there to sign books, take photos, and you're getting paid to be there and you're getting paid well to be there. And so, you know, suck it up, Buttercup, and just, you know, you don't have to engage in it if you don't like that, but you don't have to give them this, you know, the 100-yard stare or whatever it is. And like, that's kind of over, and they're the worst parent in the world. It's just, it's overkill. It seems like she's overcompensating for something. And so that's why I'd love to talk to her and just say, did you mean that you literally do that? Or that's just what you're thinking? Because if what she's thinking, well, then who cares? I mean, you know, she's allowed to think whatever the fuck she wants. She's allowed to do that too, to stare down, but I just think it's unprofessional. I might do a video on it, but I don't know. Let's see here. Jason Knight says, do you think with Creed 1 and 2 success that Mickey, Rocky's trainer, would make a good movie set in the 20s and 30s? Do we care? Like, do we, and I don't mean that but like, do we really care? I don't care. I don't care. No, I don't even think they should make another Creed. I think Creed is done. I think they will make another Creed, but I just don't, I think and maybe the Creed 3 will be amazing. Maybe it will. But when I look at the Creed franchise, it feels like if they wanted to make a series out of Creed, then the final Creed, like maybe a trilogy or something, then the final Creed film should have been the one where he is avenging his father's death. I mean, that is the ultimate sort of peak to that character, right? But he did that in the second movie. And the movie ends with Rocky going home to his son, and he's there with his wife and was it a boy or girl? I think he had a boy, right? You know, with the hearing aids on the little boy and at Apollo Creed's gravestone. It just feels like that's it. It's over. It's over. It's done. He did it. He won the World Heavyweight Championship. He avenged his father's death. It's over. You know, so I just don't think, and now to go back into a Mickey story, I just think I don't really care about it. I don't think he's an interesting enough character. But who knows? I'm not saying he's not interesting. I just mean like to do a whole thing with him. No, I don't think so. Frank Riker says, what's worse, having a kid watch Halloween or Schindler's List? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, right? I mean, I think there's always an age. You see, with Schindler's List, the subject matter is so intense that you want to show somebody who has the comprehension to truly appreciate it. I mean, kids can watch, listen, the prefrontal cortex, I believe, the brain continues to develop until you're 25. Not until you're 25 years old is your brain fully developed. That doesn't mean that you're smart. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that happen in a young man and woman's life that is still, you're still developing. So, I mean, but it's all circumstance, right? It's nature versus nurture. It depends on the kid. It depends on the parents. Me at 12 could not appreciate Schindler's List the way I could now at 40. But there could be somebody else out there. Like my girlfriend was reading The Shawshank Redemption at 12. She was very smart, and she was reading all those kind of deep, intense. I wasn't reading Shawshank Redemption at 12. Are you kidding? Right? So it depends on the person. I mean, there could be a young boy of 13, of course, especially if you're Jewish. And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. I believe when you turn 13, you have your bar mitzvah, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, you're supposed to be a man now, right? And it depends on the person. I think there are some young men, very young men and young women who could appreciate the intensity of a story like that, but there's some that aren't. So I think it's circumstance, and that's why to paint everybody, who shows their kid Halloween as the most awful parent in the world, I think it's hyperbole. It's Jamie Lee Curtis. I think there's a lot of, and I think there's a lot of anger in the United States and in the world right now, for many reasons. And I think that a lot of times people, will use it's subconscious anger that comes out in other ways. They're looking for people to, they're looking for ways to vent about things and to talk about things. And Jamie Lee Curtis is very outspoken, but the problem is that you have to be careful, because at the end of the day, look, she is a human being, and you're entitled to your opinions, and you're entitled to, but you have to pick and choose. Not every parent that shows their child Halloween is the worst parent in the world, and I think if you were to ask her to clarify her statements, I think she probably would, but, who knows? Frank says, what's your Christmas routine? My Christmas routine? Well, it depends. I mean, since my parents passed away in 2011, obviously Christmas changes. And when they were alive, now they weren't together, but when they were alive, it was sort of a bigger deal. Now, my sister and brother live about 14 hours away in terms of a drive. So, and my brother Bob lives 5 hours away. So we're not a very close-knit family. There's no animosity between anybody. We're just not a close family per se. So Christmases now are more, it's just myself, my girlfriend. Sometimes we go and visit her family. And then my buddy Bruce will sometimes come over the holidays and have some eggnog and it's quiet. I mean, I have no kids, right? So there isn't the child Santa Claus aspect to it. But I really enjoy this time of year because it makes me think of my mom and dad, and it makes me think of the family that we did have and the tiny things, right? So we just make it. I mean, we just put up the tree. Two trees actually. We put up a tree last night, the main one, and then we put up a small one that I was going to put in here actually in the background, but it doesn't really go with anything. so it's out there as well, and we try to make the best of it, and it's a nice time of year. It's supposed to snow here on Sunday, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, quiet. I mean, not big because I don't have a big family. But it's nice. Quiet, but nice. Very, very nice. Let's see. Jason Knight says, have you seen Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon? Next to The Conjuring, it's my favorite James Wan film. Oh, I know the movie you're talking about, and I have not seen that. He did that between... Did he not do that between Dead Silence and The Conjuring? I think he did that, Dead Silence was 2006. Conjuring was 2013. I think that one was in between there, I think. I haven't seen that one. I got to see that. The Badass Ninja says, Dave, do you think it is hard to keep a relationship For it is definitely hard. A relationship, you mean like a romantic relationship, or do you mean a professional relationship? Yeah, so it was after. It was a year after. A friendship? What kind of relationship do you mean? Let's see. Did I miss anything? I don't think I did. No, yeah. Death sentence. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I should see that. Professional. A professional relationship. Do I think it's hard to keep a professional relationship? Well, I think it depends. I mean, I think as long as it depends on the business. Like for me, because I'm essentially a contract player, which is what actors are. My professional relationships will be very hot and what I mean by hot, I mean like, very sort of current and a lot of talking and things are moving only as long as I'm working on whatever it is I'm working on with that person. And then once the contract ends, so once I'm done the show or I'm done the commercial or the trailer or whatever it is, or if you're a major Hollywood actor, once you're done the film, and then that relationship stops in terms of you're not working together anymore. But if you end on a good note, then once you see that person again, then, things are fine, right? You don't want to burn any bridges, so to speak. And so in that sense, you keep the relationship. I don't think it is as difficult to keep a professional relationship as some people think it is. I think, it's the old thing. I mean, you treat people the way you want to be treated, be on time, be sincere, be professional, and always leave people, when you leave a room or a project or whatever it is, always leave the room or the project with people, thinking that they had a great time working with you. And then the next time they think of you, or the next time they want to work with you, or they're about to work with you, then it's a positive thing. So I don't think it's as difficult to do, personally. Let's see, Dave. I loved your film the night he came back. Oh, thank you. It felt close to the original movie. Great movie. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, one of the biggest complaints outside of some people saying the acting is bad, and I'm like, hey, I mean, it's a fan film. I got a few people in there besides myself and Bruce who were trained. There's most people in there. They're not actors. You know what I mean? I was just having, it's just for fun. Hey, acting sucks. Yeah, some of it is a bit wooden. Yeah, that's right. But outside of that, one of the big complaints was that I left it a little too ambiguous. And I admit, in looking back in retrospect, because I was planning to possibly make another one, and that didn't end up happening, unfortunately. And I think I should not have made it quite as ambiguous. A lot of sort of the details of who Lauren is and how she's connected, because I was setting it up to answer that for sure in the second one, but I should have been, not necessarily answered it, but I should have been a little more, not quite held things so close to the vest. That's one thing that some people have said, and I tend to agree with that. But my goal with the film really was just to, again, show what you can do with, it was about a $5,000 budget. Funded it myself, and took advantage of the first time I was at the Voice Arts Awards in 2015. And we shot there at the Myers house, of course, and the Doyle house and all that kind of stuff. And I believe my fan film was the first Halloween fan film to utilize the actual locations, actually shoot in the real thing. So that's kind of cool. And it's all right. Like, it still looks all right. Like, it looks all right, but certainly, I mean, if I was to do it again, like where we're taking It's Me, Billy. Oh my God. Like It's Me, Billy is going to be Never Hike Alone caliber production value, right? I mean, that's where we're taking it, because we're going full out on this. And we have the resources and, the connections to do it. But the night he came back was just, something that I wanted to do, kind of a personal little thing, spur of the moment. And it turned out all right. It wasn't too bad. So I appreciate you saying that you enjoyed it. I do. Because I think even now, even though it's 3.5 years old now, I think it's all right still. It's kind of, it's, well, like you said, it's moody and atmospheric. So I think it's fun to watch. The Badass Ninja says, for me, it is hard to keep a romantic relationship. Hey, buddy, they're tough too, man. They are. It's a lot of work. It's a lot. Whoever you're with has to really like who you are. And when they like who you are, then they will grow to love who you are. But if they don't like who you are, if they're constantly rolling their eyes, everything, then they're just not the person for you. You have to find somebody who likes who you are, likes your little, isms and quirks and things like that make you you, because that is who you are. They're not easy, man. Absolutely. I totally agree. Romantic relationships are tough. There's always ups and downs, Let's see here. I don't think I missed anything. Oh, man. I look tired. I think I need a better sleep tonight. Scroll back. I got that. Yeah, I did get that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Turkey Day for you guys. I always found it funny that Turkey Day was on a Thursday for you guys. It's kind of funny, but nonetheless. Hey. I posted this on my social media, but I put all my Fright Rags Halloween cards in this binder. I just ordered this from Amazon last week, I guess it was. It took about 3 days to get here. It was only about $15, and it's not it's just plastic. There are probably better binders out there, but I like the idea that it was just 4. And I think most people get these for not just, it says Ultra Pro binder, but I think people get this for like role-playing games and shit like that, which I'm not into, but they all come with sort of cards. And I was like, I wanted to put my Halloween cards in a binder. And believe it or not, I have a stack over there about that thick of doubles. I have doubles of I don't have doubles of everything, but I have about a stack like that of doubles. So that's kind of cool. So if one ever gets sort of ruined or bent or something, I can just pop in another one. So that's kind of cool. But this is really neat. I'm going to make a video and post it on my channel where I actually show this. I just have to figure out how I'm going to film it, but I think it's kind of cool. And I suspect, depending on what the sales are like for this, I suspect that Fright Rags will probably, they'll have to get the rights to do it, but I suspect that they'll probably do a Halloween 2 as well. And I mean, if it's really successful and it continues to be, then I think they may do trading cards for all the movies. I don't see why you wouldn't, if the sales are good. If the sales warrant them doing it. I can see them doing at least Halloween 2, 1981. I could see that. But, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. And, you guys want, look at this. Hang on a sec. Mint condition Michael Myers rookie card right here. Mint condition Michael Myers rookie card. Hey, you guys want a mint condition Michael Myers, the Myers House rookie card? This is a mint condition, the Myers House rookie card. It's mint condition, baby. Jacqueline McEwen says, Dave, what kind of stands do you use to display your masks? I have a Michael Myers mask and a Jason hockey mask on the way, and I'm wondering what you used, where you get them. Well, Jacqueline, this one right here, which is, that was given to me by Chris Baber, who's a patron as well. That came with a stand, and it's an actual sort of little stand. But those two guys there, they are just paper towel holders, paper towel stands. Yeah. If you go to Walmart or Target or somewhere, where you can buy it cheap, just buy a couple of paper towel stands, and that's what I put them on. Now, to be fair, what I did was not underneath that one, not that one, but underneath that one and that one, those two, I actually went to, I'm trying to think of where I got them now. Some department store or something. I got one of those. You might be able to order them too. Those foam heads, right? You know, the white foam heads. And I took the paper towel stand and I put the white foam head on top of the paper towel stand. Now you have to make sure that the top of the stand will fit inside the foam head, right? You might have to cut it maybe a bit bigger or something. But anyway, so I put the foam head on top of the paper towel stand and then I put the mask over the foam head. So those two there actually have foam heads inside of them. However, if you don't need foam heads, because depending on where you're going to display it, right? And you're not shooting videos like I am. So you might just use the paper towel stand and it might work perfectly fine. That's what I would do. Try it out. Paper towel stand. A lot of people use paper towel stands because they're perfect. And now there are, I believe, some of the independent mask maker guys out there they do make custom stands. But I would try that first. So that's all I did. Jason Knight says Value Village has foam heads. Yes, Value Village. Value Village, I think that's a Canadian brand. Is it not a Canadian brand? I think it might be Canadian. But what Value Village is, it's just a discount store, essentially. So, whatever kind of, I'm sure you can even order them too. They're not that hard. But yeah, maybe that's where I got them. I can't remember. It might have been when I was looking for costumes, because sometimes I go to Value Village to buy costumes for some of the shit that I'm doing, because you can buy shit for cheap, right? You can totally wardrobe an entire cast from Value Village. Let's see. Frank Riker says, Dave, do you think Christmas has become way too commercial and brings out the worst in people? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly too commercial. And what's funny is that last night, while my girlfriend and I were putting up the tree, we had the Charlie Brown's Christmas on in the background on my big TV. And there's a line in there where Charlie Brown, I think it's him, he starts talking about how Christmas has become far too commercial. Now, the Charlie Brown Christmas special, I'm pretty sure, was from the 60s. Let me see here. The Charlie Brown Christmas special was 1965. 1965. Nothing changes. Watch old news clips from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. They're talking about the same thing. Unemployment, the unemployment rate, healthcare, housing, murder rate. I mean, it's the same shit. Nothing ever gets. And it never will. It never will, because our system is not designed to cure anything, right? It's just designed to keep the thing going. I just find it so funny that in 1965, it's so commercial. And I, turn to my girlfriend, I'm like, can you imagine what they'd think now? 55 years later, essentially. Of course it is. Of course it is. But at the same time, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Christian. I mean, if you were to go back into my ancestry, I mean, you'd probably find that we were probably, I'm trying to think of the word now. Why can't I think of the word? I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, you probably find that we were, because I mean, most people that come from that area and overseas are. But I'm not a religious person, and I've never been to church. I don't practice. I don't care. Respect if you do. 100% respect if you do. That's just not for me. So for me, is it too commercial? Well, too commercial for what? Because I'm not. Like, for me, Christmas has always been commercial. I understand that it is, the principle of it is, Jesus and his birthday, which he wasn't really born on that day anyway. But I mean, that's the idea of it, right? I think for me, is it too commercial? Well, yes, it is for sure. It's a business. Christmas is a business, right? Halloween is a business. Valentine's Day is a business. It's all a business at the end of the day. It's nothing but being a business. So is it too commercial? Well, I mean, if you're a religious person and you really care about love and family and not gifts and no hoo-ha and the big then yes, it would be. But for me, I'm just like, meh, it's always been this way. For me, it's always been about gifts and giving gifts and receiving gifts and Santa Claus and ho, ho, ho and going out shopping and, being at the mall today. I was at the mall earlier and walked by and saw Santa there with, doing his thing with the kids on his lap and stuff. And it's just like, this is how it's all. So it doesn't really affect me, but I certainly can understand how it is. I think Christmas has evolved to say it's too commercial. I think it's evolved so much that it is this now. Christmas is about giving and getting presents. That's what Christmas is. Christmas is about giving and getting presents. It is about Santa Claus and ho 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 and fat guy down chimney and putting gifts under the tree and cookies and turkey and family. That is what it is. That doesn't mean that there aren't certain things that you can't do, giving to less fortunate families and I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. I totally support that and helping out the homeless and all that kind of stuff. I think there is an angle to Christmas that can be very giving and loving and helping and all that. But it is what it is. It is. It's not about celebrating Jesus' birthday. I mean, for some people it is, but the bigger picture, I mean, this is what it is. It's about shopping, yelling, screaming, cake, cookies, gifts, giving, and that's what it is. It is what it is. So, whether that's right or wrong, and it's been like that for, years. I don't know, man. The Badass Ninja says, Dave, do you consider a hot dog a sandwich? No, it's a hot dog. Frank Reiger says, your thoughts on the future of brick and mortar stores? I don't know, man. Frank, I love this. Wise thoughts with Dave McRae. Wise thoughts. I don't know. I don't. My thoughts on the future of brick and mortar stores. Well, I don't know, Frank. Let's hope they. I don't know. I mean, they don't bother me. Let's hope they stick around, Frank. Let's hope they stick around. Of course, now everything is bought online now. Everything. How many times? I don't know. Okay, I guess I'm old school because I don't know, but. Yes, I mean, I bought this online, right? I bought the cards that are in it online, but that's a specialty item. You can't go into a store and buy that. But shit that you should be able to go into a store and buy, it really bothers me now. And because I'm an immediate kind of person, I don't know if anybody in the chat room is like this, but I'm one of those people that I like to have something now, and nothing is more irritating and frustrating. And maybe it's just because, again, I'm not that I'm old, but I'm 40, so I'm old enough to remember when it was not like this, as a lot of us are, right? And I get the convenience of being able to click a button and it comes. I get all that. That's nice. But when there's something gadgety or there's something, I don't know, when I get fixated on something, I like being able to just go to the store and buy it and take it home and I have it. I don't like waiting. And it infuriates me now when I'll go to like the Best Buy site or I'll go to some other site and I'm like, oh shit, yes, they have it. And then it's like online only. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. Oh, come on, online only? Because there's a Best Buy around the corner from where I live. And I'm just like, oh, come on. I want to, I just hate that stuff. I don't know what it is. I just wish that, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, in the big picture, millions of people are doing their shopping online now. Most of it, a lot of it. I mean, they're even doing food online now and shit. And it's just like, I don't know. I guess I have a feeling I'm going to end up like one of those old men, get off my lawn, you son of a bitch. I think I'm just going to be one of those guys. Hey, Dave. Would love, this is Jason Knight. Would love to start dabbling in filmmaking. My wife is a photographer, so I know she could teach me composition and such, but how does one start learning about filmmaking? Well, I mean, listen, you have something called YouTube. And, I think, like, really at the end of the day, I think YouTubing some good filmmaking fundamentals, the fundamental sort of principles of filmmaking. And you'll probably learn about composition and directing and the rule of thirds, which your wife, I'm sure, absolutely knows everything about. And I think my first question to you would be like, are you like filmmaking in terms of like making little movies, or filmmaking in the sense of making YouTube videos or making corporate videos or training videos? Or I assume you mean just knowing how to shoot and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of videos online that can teach you how to do that, and, teach you about the different, jobs of filmmaking, from the producer to the line producer to the director to the executive producer to production manager to, first AD to, all the DP, lots of stuff. And I think that's where I would start. I think, like, I would just do a YouTube search, filmmaking 101, or filmmaking fundamentals or something. And I think you'll get a good idea of whether or not something, is hitting you right, because we all learn a bit differently, right? Like, you could watch a video from somebody who is teaching it, but I might watch it and be like, this is so boring. But it's resonating with you because of the personality type of the teacher. A lot of the information absorbed has a lot to do with the teacher. There's just levels of information that, depending if the teacher is just charismatic or, the way they relay information or, whatever it is. But now, if this was 25 years ago, you'd have to go to college. You'd have to go to school. But outside of that, you can just YouTube it and just learn about the fundamentals of filmmaking, and maybe you'll find like a little online course or something like that. I have no idea. But it's good that your wife is a photographer, because she can certainly teach you about framing, exposure, all that kind of stuff, white balance, lighting is so important, not just in photography, but in filmmaking as well. It's so important that, it's huge. It's huge, absolutely huge. To be able to expose correctly. Because if you do not expose your shot correctly, if your shot is too dark or your shot is too bright, is too blown out, you can't get that information, especially in the digital age too. It's information. It's digital information. You can't put more digital information in a shot that's already there. So your only option is to either tinker around with it and try to make it a bit brighter or a bit darker. And sometimes you can, suffice, but usually you got to go out and do reshoots, like, shit, my exposure wasn't right. And you got to go out and do reshoots. So she can teach you all about that. Yeah, I think that's cool. But I think I would just go online. That's what I would do. YouTube a couple of fundamentals, and then go from there. Frank says, where did you first go when you got your driver's license? Where did I first go? Not where I went to get my driver. Where did I first go? I think to work. Because at the time, this is years ago, I was working at a movie theater. So I think I probably just drove to work. That's probably, but you mean like for fun? Probably out with my friends. I can't remember where. Maybe it was to a strip club. I don't know. We went to a lot of strip clubs back in the day. I think a lot of boys did, though. But I think that's probably where I went. Like was out with friends, I think. Frank Riker follows up with, could you eat a John Candy 96er? A John Candy 96er? What's that? Is that a chocolate? Is that like I was about to say chocolate bar. In the United States, you guys call chocolate bars candy bars. I know you've heard the term chocolate bar too, but up here, we don't refer to any chocolate bar as a candy bar. We call everything a chocolate bar, whether it's a Arrow, Three Musketeers, O. Henry, Score, I don't know, pick your candy bar. Up here we call it a chocolate bar. But is that a... Oh, the steak from the... Oh, right. Oh, of course, the great outdoors. Right. Sorry, for some reason, I had 96er. Yeah, 96-ounce steak. No, there's no way. There's no way. My stomach is probably like this big compared to his. I mean, like, I'm 5'8", 165 pounds. There's no way I could eat a steak like that. I could try. I might be able to get like a quarter of it, baby. And he didn't eat all that either. I mean, obviously that was, edited to make it look like he ate that. Do I think he could have eaten that though? Maybe. He was a pretty big dude. Another thing a lot of people don't know either is that John Candy was also quite tall. He was big, yes, but he was about 6'2" or 3. I think he was like 6'3" or 2, something like that. He was a tall guy. He was a big guy. And then, that's right. John Candy 96er. Yeah, that's intense. That's intense. No, I don't think I could, guys. I don't think I could. That would be too much. That would be way too much. There's anything. Let me see if I have any. I think. I'm trying to look for a cool... Oh, the cards also came with stickers. These are stickers. And on the back, if you turn them over, they all make a picture. But, and I got doubles of these too. And then this is the little autograph thing I got. Which was a... Oops. Oh, it doesn't show the other side. This is kind of cool. Kind of cool. And I believe this was... Yeah, it was autographed by the artist. Rebecca... Original hand-drawn sketch card. It's cool. It's kind of cool. I like that. I think he's amongst the laundry sheets there. It's kind of cool. And apparently there's like a few others that... That's the one I just happened to get. Anybody else think Brackett, when he first bumps into Laurie, is like, "Excuse me, Laurie"? It always looks like he wants to go, "Excuse me, Laurie, you're kind of hot." It kind of feels like that. Frank Reiger says, "I remember we discussed that CGI is taking over for FX, but what job is essential to be on set besides the director?" Essential. Well, I mean, your director of photography, your DP is absolutely essential. And your camera operator as well. Because the director of photography can certainly jump behind the camera and work the camera and, do what it's got to do. But you have a director of photography, and more often than not, especially on big blockbusters, you will also have a camera operator who's the one that's working the camera. But the DP is right there beside them. So those are two jobs that are absolutely essential. Your director of photography, your camera operator, your focus puller. I mean, the person who makes sure that every shot is in focus. I mean, there's so many jobs that are integral, especially the technical jobs. I mean, all your grips and your I mean, it's just are there jobs that are, less so than others? Sure, of course. But in terms of vital, I would say next to the director would be your director of photography and your camera operator, because without somebody shooting the movie, there is no movie. So that probably, in terms of the technical aspect of making the film while on set, that's what I would say. Not necessarily in that order, but Jason Knight says, "After watching some of your Friday the 13th videos, I watched the original Friday the 13th and I liked it a lot more when you talked about mood and atmosphere." Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the original Friday the 13th is very underrated, and I think it gets the bums rush and sort of shoved out the door a lot because it doesn't have Jason in it. I mean, it does at the end, but it's not a Jason movie, right? It's about Pamela. And I think, it's probably and I have no evidence of this, but I think if you were to take a poll of Friday the 13th and horror fans, I think it would be one of the least watched Friday the 13th movies out of them all. I think people are more likely to watch Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell than the original Friday the 13th. Maybe not. That might be a little bit exaggerated. But I think it's one of the least watched because it does feel, because Friday the 13th is so identified with Jason, there is a bit of a disconnect with that movie. It's its own kind of thing in some regards. But I love it because, as you heard me say, no doubt, I love that little slight, and I say slight, it's not a psychological horror movie. It's not. But there's that little psychological component, like just a small little ingredient there, that I think makes the movie really creepy. And like, I can only imagine what that movie would have been like to watch in 1980. Of course, I was only 1 year old, but it would have been interesting to watch that because the mood is really great, and the darkness and the, help me, mommy, help me, like all that stuff, and you help me. And then, once you put it together and you think to yourself, so wait a second, there was a mid-50s lady running around outside in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere at this campsite, in the middle of a thunderstorm, yelling to the 4 or 5 people that were there, help me, mommy, help. I mean, that's wildly creepy. Think of that concept, right? And just the whole idea of the way it was shot. And I think it's a really creepy film. It's a slasher, no doubt. But I think as its own thing, I think it's creepier than any of the later Friday the 13th movies. Like when you get to 6 or even 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and they're not, when it comes to eeriness and moodiness, oh my God, the original is way above those in terms of that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm glad that you revisited revisited it and liked it more than you did. I think that's cool because there is a lot to there's kind of something there. You know what I mean? It's a pretty creepy film. It is a pretty creepy film. Frank Riker says, Sheriff Brackett reminds me of Paul Linden. Oh, yes. Yeah, he does. He's a little, God, I'm spitting like a madman here. There we go. He reminds me of that and just like a creepy, wormy, slimy. It's the way he goes like this before he says, well, excuse me, Laurie. It's just funny. Jason Knight says, my favorite, he was Uncle Arthur in Bewitched. Yes, yep. Was he the... Oh, okay, no. I'm thinking of the main guy. Yes, okay. Jason Knight says, my favorite scene in Friday the 13th is Marcy's kill and the hand in the shower. So, isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? And the music, and she looks down there, and there's that long shot down that, corridor with that single stall, with that single, light, and then you just see that hand there, and then it moves away. It's eerie, and with that, it's eerie, and it's a whodunit film. That's one of the great things about that movie as well. The original Friday the 13th movie is a whodunit movie. I mean, it's a slasher movie first and foremost, but it's a whodunit. You don't know who is doing the killing. You at first think maybe it's Mr. Christie, and then once he gets killed, you realize it's not him. And then you think it might be, Ralph, you're all doomed. And then it's clear that it's kind of not him, but then but still kind of might be him. I think it's really good. Yeah, it's really, and then of course it's revealed that it's a woman, which was so unheard of at that time. So unheard of. Brilliant move to make it an actual woman. I think that was really cool. Okay, we'll go for a few more minutes here. A few more minutes. Let me see. Oh, by the way, Friday night, you guys probably saw my post about it. Friday night here on YouTube, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific. I am doing a live stream with Cecil Laird and Miko Hughes. And we're going to talk Dylan's new Nightmare. We're going to talk Elm Street, Miko's, career and all that kind of stuff. And well, not necessarily his career, but we'll talk about everything. And we'll take your questions as well. So that is Friday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific. And then 2 dudes and some... Oh, and then Saturday movie night is Saturday night. So that's open to levels... the live feed is open to level 3 and 2, but it will be up on my channel for everybody to watch afterwards. And it looks like... Let me just see here. What is the polling? I have to post the results tomorrow. The polling is... I think it's a neck and neck tie right now between... It is. It's a neck and neck tie right now between Sleepaway Camp and Christine. Sleepaway Camp and Christine both have 36%. It's a tie right now. Which one is it going to be? Frank Reger says, Happy Thanksgiving to us Yanks. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Yeah, it's a good time to call it a day. Yes, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate, of course, the support to the channel each and every month. I think you guys rock. Amazing stuff. And I also want to say happy Thanksgiving to my American friends south of the border. Stay safe, drive safely. It's crazy out there this time of year when the holidays and people drinking and that kind of shit, I should say. Just have your wits about you. Don't drink and drive. Don't you be that person, and just have a great holiday. And if you're around Friday night, and you want to tune into that live feed with myself, Miko, and Cecil, feel free to do so. 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific. And, Rick Michaels says, why does Freddy wear a trench coat in the new Nightmare? And his hat is green. Well, I believe we might be able to get a little more information about this, on Friday night, but, did I say the feed was tomorrow night? If I did, I meant Friday night. Anyway, so, the way that Freddy Krueger, and I say that with air quotes because in reality, it's not really Freddy, right? It's because it's this meta breaking the fourth wall kind of film, and Robert Englund plays himself in the movie. It's actually an evil entity, like a demon that has manifested himself to look like Freddy. Anyway, that being said, it's Freddy. The look of Freddy in New Nightmare from 1994 was actually what Wes Craven originally had in mind. That was what he had in mind, was that kind of look, was the trench coat. And because I believe it mirrored more of what he saw as a young boy that gave him that inspiration with that weird, creepy man that was outside his window one night. So I think I would imagine that the trench coat was part of that. And yeah, I mean, maybe New Nightmare experts would be able to fill in some gaps, maybe if I'm leaving them out, but I think that's what but I do know the look of him is more in line of what he wanted. So maybe that might be it. And I can't say whether or not we are or not bringing back the trench coat, but could be happening. That's all I'll say. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. You guys rock. You guys are amazing. Have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Get all fat tomorrow. Undo your belt buckles. Eat that turkey and stuffing and potatoes. And I am thankful for you guys and your support each and every month. So you guys rock. Stay safe, and I will talk to you guys soon. All righty. Cheers.